Well, hello xenographers everywhere, and welcome to another episode. After the Second World War, the Zeiss Optical Company was divided. Quite literally. The old Jena factory and personnel found themselves in the then newly established East Germany, while a new factory was established in Stuttgart in West Germany. Both companies still made lenses. Both drew on and developed the pre-war designs, and both had a legitimate claim to be the real Zeiss. East German lenses, after a number of court battles, came to be known as Carl Zeiss Jena lenses, while the West German versions were simply Carl Zeiss. Carl Zeiss Jena lenses are some of the nicest vintage lenses I've ever used. They're very sharp, very contrasty, and they render rich, strong and beautiful colours. Their optics are simply outstanding. Up until now though, I've never used a Western Zeiss lens, so when viewer and patron Sebastian Heuser offered to lend me his Zeiss Distagon 25mm f2.8, well, I jumped at the chance. And here is that very lens. Before I received it, I wasn't too sure what to expect. A big surprise for me was how similar the Eastern and Western lenses are, at least in appearance. It really is quite uncanny. Here it is alongside the Zeiss Jena Pancolar 50mm 1.8 and the Zeiss Jena Flektogon 35mm f2.4. The resemblance is pretty obvious, and we could easily be looking at three lenses made by the same company, which I suppose they kind of are. So construction and appearance are very similar indeed, but what about quality of construction? Comparing the Western Distagon to the Eastern Flektogon, there isn't much in it. Both focus rings turn with a silky smoothness, although the Distagon is heavier to turn and would probably benefit from relubrication. There's a tiny bit of play on the Flektogon focus ring though, which isn't present in the Distagon. Both aperture rings turn cleanly and both feel tight and precise. The Distagon does feel that bit more nicely made though, and it's clearly made to slightly finer tolerances than the Flektogon. Let's turn to image quality now. I've spent quite some time with this little Distagon and I've shot hundreds of images with it. It's one of the sharpest lenses I've ever shot, bar none. It really is incredibly sharp, and if you nail focus accurately, it renders just about as much fine detail as anyone could ever need, and then some. It really is that good. I think it's a little sharper than the Flektogon, which is itself a very sharp lens, but I think the Distagon just beats it by a whisker. Either way, there isn't much in it. It's a different story with the Pancolar though. This modest little 1.8 is my gold standard for sharpness, the lens by which I judge all others. It's stunningly sharp, and I think it just beats the Distagon. It's kind of academic though. All three lenses are very sharp indeed, and what differences there are small. In terms of sharpness, there's no clear victory either for East or West. Zeiss Jena lenses are known for their fantastic colour rendition. Exuberant and joyful colours burst out from these images, and the Distagon makes striking colours too. They're bold and strong, but they do have a slightly different feel to those from the Eastern lenses. They're slightly more restrained, not quite as saturated, more of a natural look, and a little bit cooler too. There's no clear winner here as such. I like the colours from the Distagon very much, but I do prefer the warmer, more saturated look of the Jena lenses, and it really comes down to personal preference. Contrast from the Distagon is strong, making bold and striking images in both colour and black and white. In fact, this lens works really nicely in black and white. Contrast can fade if you catch stray light at the wrong angle, so like a lot of vintage lenses, it should ideally be used with a hood. The Eastern lenses have strong contrast too, every bit the equal of the Distagon, and they also lose contrast if light catches them at the wrong angle. To my eye though, the Pancolar resists contrast loss just a little better than the Distagon and the Flektogon. There isn't much in it, but it does seem just that little bit better. These Zeiss lenses, whether of the Eastern or the Western variety, all focus much closer than lenses from other manufacturers. Minimum focus distance on the Pancolar is 35 centimeters. The Distagon goes down to 25, while the Flektogon goes right the way down to 20 centimeters. And at these distances, even a wide-angle lens will give plenty of background blur if you shoot it wide open. Both the Flektogon and the Pancolar give some lovely soft background blur. The Flektogon is very gentle and very soft. The Pancolar's soft too, but it's a bit more lively. It's derived from the Zeiss Biotar, the original king of swirly bokeh, and although swirl is tamed in the Pancolar, it's certainly there. Because it can focus so closely, the 25mm f2.8 Distagon makes some very nice blur too, a very unusual quality in a wide-angle lens, and one that I really appreciate. It makes the lens versatile. Close the aperture down a little for deep focus wide shots, open it fully for close shots with plenty of background blur. It's nice blur too, very soft, and if you get the distances right, it gives just a hint of swirl. On the Sony A7, unlike the Zeiss Jena lenses, the Distagon vignettes quite badly. I don't know if that's the case on film, but it's certainly present here. It's not normally noticeable in everyday shooting, but shooting against the sky shows it very clearly. At f2.8, it's pretty severe, and it darkens the entire frame as well as the corners. Stopping down improves matters, but the dark corners never fully disappear. That's quite a surprise. In fact, I've not seen such persistent vignetting before, so this is a clear win for the Zeiss Jena lenses. Comparing these lenses has been really interesting. What surprised me most were the striking similarities between the Eastern and Western lenses, both in construction and appearance, and some aspects of optical performance too. Personally, I slightly prefer the look from the Zeiss Jena lenses. Colours are more saturated and substantial, and I do prefer the price of the Jena lenses too. A Pancolar costs around £120 in good condition, a Flektogon around £150, whereas a West German Distagon goes for around £400. Then again, the Distagon does feel that bit more nicely made, more solid, more precise, so that extra money isn't wasted. One thing's for sure though, all of these lenses make really beautiful images, and that, in the final analysis, is what it's all about. So that's it from me for now. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that bell before you go. And if you like the content on this channel and you want to help it to grow and develop, you can do that at patreon.com/Zenography. As ever, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time for some more Zenography.